Time now for a little boom or bust, and that was the mighty Thor, Noah Syndergaard, last night on his majestic mane. Dan, if that's happening, Syndergaard needs a haircut. Boom or bust?
That is a boom, and you know what? I think even a trim would qualify as a haircut in this case. And remember, John, if you want to go even back to the movies, for example, the latest Thor installment, Thor got a haircut. DeGrom got a haircut. It hasn't affected him. You know what? I know that it's a little bit of his persona and everything. I'll take a trim. I think that will suffice. But you know what? No, if it's bothering you that much, you're getting paid to pitch. Trim the darn hair.
Yeah, it's a bust. You don't cut your hair.
What?
You just don't do it. And in the last movie...
But he's a professional baseball
Chris Hemsworth only did that because he had to act in another movie, okay? He's not really Thor. Noah Syndergaard is Thor.
They would have put a wig on him if it didn't interfere.
Cut your hair. It's part of who he is. It's his intimidating presence. I like the long hair. He's got to keep it. Maybe tie back the bangs somehow. He'll figure it out. Don't cut that hair. Don't cut that hair.
You think players in Major League Baseball are really intimidated by a guy's hair?
Yes.
What are they, 8 years old?
Yes.
John, Mark McGwire could have hit 70 home runs in a year without steroids, as he's now claiming. Boom or bust?
That's a bust. Look, Mark McGwire, one of the best power hitters I've ever seen, whether or not he was on the juice, depending upon when I saw him in Oakland and then, of course, in St. Louis. He's not hitting 70 homers without PEDs. He barely did it with PEDs, okay? I get that he wants to talk about how powerful his swing was. He was on quite the roll along with Bonds and Sosa. We all remember that. Brady Anderson hitting 50 home runs. Dan, you could hit 40, I think, on that stuff. No way, Mark. You can't do it.
I think I could hit 40 without it. But it's a bust for me, too. I mean, like you said, his three biggest years of home run totals were all sandwiched around that 1998 season where, you know, it was exciting for the time, but maybe we were all just naive to what exactly was going on. This is a guy who I know that he's still in baseball and everything, but he just wants to inject himself into the conversation a little bit more. That's all this is. Nobody wants to hear from Mark McGwire. You know what? You didn't have a chance. Well, you had a chance to do it, but you decided to cheat. So you know what? You don't have the luxury to sit here and say what you could have or couldn't done. Enough with Mark McGwire.
But I'm glad you brought that up because I think with McGwire and Sosa were going at it, everybody was caught up in it. We can't pretend like we weren't. Now, I don't think the PEDs should have been there, but they were. However, if he had them now, he could probably hit more than 70. He wouldn't have them now. It's not happening.
That's why I like Sammy Sosa. He's kind of just gone into exile. We don't hear from him. He knows he's guilty. I like that approach.
Let's go over to football, Dan. Josh Rosen is in town this week. Boom or bust, the UCLA QB, that's 6 consonants, will end up with either the Jets or the Giants. Actually, it's 2 vowels. I lied. Boom or bust?
I'm going to say bust, and I actually think the way this kind of draft is unfolding here, at least with these quarterbacks up until this point, I think you're going to see Rosen as be that guy, the one of the 4 QBs that actually falls a little bit through the top 10 of this first round. So I don't think he's going 2 to the Giants. I don't think he's going 3 to the Jets. So Rosen, no, will not be a New York quarterback.
All right, it's a boom, Dan, and here, wait until you hear it.
I'd love to hear this.
First of all, as I've said many times on this program, the Giants would be nuts not to take Saquon Barkley. But let's say Barkley goes number 1 or it doesn't work out for whatever reason. The Giants then trade down, get more talent, and later on, because of what you said, Josh Rosen dropping in the draft, they pick him up later in the first round.
Like how later?
I haven't gotten that far. But that's my theory. That's why it's a boom.
Well, that plays into it, though. You have to tell me how far he's going to fall because
we've seen guys in this draft, very qualified players because of rumors. I mean, go way back to the Marino thing when he dropped all the way to the end of the first round. I don't think it's going to be Jim Mara's comments are going to make Rosen fall that far, but I think he is going to fall. And I think if the Giants want to leverage what they've got, they could possibly drop down a bit and take Rosen later, and it almost like a bargain in the middle of the first round versus the top of the first.
But if they still trade down to maybe like the latter stages of the top 10, maybe an offensive lineman they love. If Quentin Nelson somehow falls down to them, let's say 5 or something like that, they could pluck him where maybe they don't go Rosen.
I'm ready for this draft.
Can it get here ready? Can we can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Can the draft get here?
We do agree on that.